have a cup of coffee, then I'll go. Thought that I'd just drop by and let you know that I'm leaving town tomorrow. I'll cause you no more sorrow. I'll just have a cup of coffee, then I'll go. I brought the money like the lawyer said to do. It won't replace all the heartaches I've caused you. It won't take the place of loving you, I know. I'll just have a cup of coffee, then I'll go.
Good morning, Armenia. Welcome back to the channel, Grand Colombia. Welcome to another Coffee Time Live, streaming for 4 years, something like that. Coleman, Canada. Okay, back on the road again. George, how you doing, George? Northern California, home of many wildfires. Yeah, and a few other things. Rob, how you doing, Rob? Hopefully you get a package, that letter, soon. Yuka, many thanks. I woke up to this. Thank you, I appreciate it. Steve, what? Whatever. And you're not getting my ribs. John, hello from Armenia. How you doing? And yo, on the bus from Armenia to Medellin. Let me know how the traffic is. It used to be horrible. You take a 6-hour ride and it would be 8.5 hours. So I'm kind of curious. Good morning from Ibagué. You got to make sure you up tempo the gay. Coleman just jumped on. Good morning. Okay, I'm going to rely on you guys today. I did not plan to be here today, and kind of a last minute thing. The person who was going to accompany me had an emergency, couldn't make it, at least to leave yesterday. And kind of scrambling around. I hadn't thought about a topic. The process usually goes like this. Sometime during the week, early in the week, I'll be kind of sitting around drinking my coffee and contemplating, and I'll come up with something. Something will pop into my head based on a conversation I had or something I saw, or if I was out and I ran into something, and it just kind of triggers me to start not triggers in a bad way, but to start creating an idea that I'm going to have on the coffee time on the upcoming Sunday. And so that kind of grows. I give myself, I usually start thinking about it early in the week, because depending on the topic, I might need a couple days of research, and then I'll just kind of scribble out on my notepad ideas or key points. Then I'll make a scribbled outline, and that's what I work with you guys from. And I'll sit it down, hardly ever look at it, because I go back after I'm over, the show, and then it's like, oh, I forgot to talk about that. Damn it. It never fails. So anyway, that process that I have that just kind of, it takes time to boil, and it wasn't there. So I'm thinking, well, what am I going to talk about? So, all right, let's go look at the newspapers. There wasn't anything worth talking about. There's a criminal in Finlandia who's been the scourge of Finlandia, and he's you know, they painted him up as this terrible, he's this skinny 18-year-old kid that was selling weed. But I guess he did break in somewhere and steal something. And people were complaining because he was arrested 4 times, but he was still out on the street. And when they asked the police, when the reporters went there and what's going on, why are you letting this guy out? And they said, but what he's doing is of no consequence. He just sold some weed. so I, you know, it's like, that's not a big story. It was kind of a ho-hum nothing story. There was a girl that did a high jump and broke some record for Colombia. It's like 5 foot something in her high jump, and she may go to the World Games. But it was all, I mean, it's like, yeah, this was good, but there's a long way to go before it's like really spectacular. So, you know, so it's like, well, what am I going to do? Well, I'm home and it's Sunday, so I'll do coffee time, but I got a ton of comments, a ton of messages, and frankly, they were all surprisingly good. I didn't expect that. I thought I'd get picked apart, but it was received very well. And as bad as I presented it, I wasn't sure that would happen. That's on the video part 1 and part 2 of poverty, the last week. And, you know, I apologize, it was broken up. I have something to say about that. But, you know, we can talk about that if you want, but I want to thank you, all the comments that I got on the messages, and a lot of stories that kind of tied in. Like this guy was on the bus and he hadn't really seen poverty. He saw poverty the way people typically will see it. They get off the plane and say, oh, everybody's poor. But he was on the bus and he overheard a Colombian talking in Spanish. Said something along the lines of, we might be poor, but we still live a good life. And he said he didn't ever really understand that until I talked about, you know, things in my video. So, I mean, there's comments like that I really appreciated that people were thoughtful about what I was talking about. That it wasn't just, you know, just kind of a waste of breath. And, you know, I'm gratified for that. So, you know, thank you for that. Let's see. So the bus to Medellin from Armenia, it's full of construction. Oh, boy. My 5 a.m. bus was canceled. We left at 6 a.m., getting to Medellin at 3 p.m. best case. Wow. Wow. So it's as bad or worse than ever. When they don't have all the construction going on, but it's been going on for a number of years, and COVID, you know, just kind of stretched it out. It's really not bad. It's you know, it's basically a 6-hour bus ride. It's really not bad. Right now, if you check out the inside Colombia flights, at least with my Rappi card. So I don't know if this applies for everybody, but I got a notice with my Rappi credit card that they sent me. And it had a link for these flights. And there's flights all over the country, dirt cheap. Like if I were going to fly to Bucaramanga, the price for that is like $40 from Armenia to Bucaramanga. Plus I get a forget the amount. I think it was like 20 or 30,000 peso cash back on the card if I use the card. So there's some crazy flights. I saw some prices that are like $24, $25. I don't think anything was over $50. Those are one way, but you know, it was pretty awesome. I haven't seen improvements on this route since 2006. That sounds about right, but you know, it it kind of, for me, it goes back a ways. Mike, how you doing, Mike? Oh, last day. I forgot to mention this last week. This is the last day for the travel insurance 15% off. It does include today. It's inclusive today. So it ran the 14th to today, the 24th. So if you need travel insurance, if you're moving here, you're going to need a couple months of it while you're getting your cedula so that you can sign up. There you go. There's a link below this video, and there's also there's a link on the webpage grandcolumbia.live. So I remembered this week. I want to get yelled at. No, not by my Biden handlers, by you guys. Speaking of, I saw something that was kind of cute because here, not so much, but I was flipping through the YouTube news for the United States, and it was kind of cracking me up because I was seeing all this monkeypox stuff. So I saw this meme and I thought it was kind of cute. Yeah, for those that are watching on their phone, it's got a big orangutan on a bicycle chasing this kid, and it says the kid is the 11 people who still believe the media. Who knows? Howdy. Flew from Armenia to Bogota for 48 USD. That's the normal decent price. That's right now. I think it was $24. Everything is half price. Now again, you might look at it, may not be. It might only be with that RappiCard link that they sent me. But I would think that it's probably just a special that they're running out there. But I thought it was kind of funny because you see places like, foreign countries like the United States and their airfares going through the roof. And here you're getting these bargains. It's, I don't know what I would do. Everybody knows now I got sick and I went through my life savings, and you know that story. And I had my life all planned out, but like John Lennon says, life is what happens while you're busy making other plans, and that's what happened to me. And so I was still, while I was laying in bed, I came up with this idea to make some money because I needed some money because I couldn't work and I wasn't of retirement age and I'd gone through all these savings. So I decided to do some online consulting with the clients that I previously had, and it worked pretty well. I was pulling in about $4,000 a month. And so when I moved to Ecuador, that was my income. And of course, over time, I kind of lost that for various reasons. You can only do consulting with people for so long. It's kind of like going to a chiropractor. Oh, he's awesome. I've been going to him for 20 years. Well, how awesome is he then? Anyway, so I end up here in Colombia and ran into a real financial issue that went on for a number of months, and things got real tough. And if I wasn't in Colombia, I don't know what I would have done. And now, the world's going crazy. Inflation is killing people. I'm down here with the most minor of inflation because the inflation that's happening is on the smallest items. So if they go up 15, 20%, you're talking about pennies. So the inflation happens on the smallest of items, except for some import things. Those prices are going sky high. But you don't really need it. You can buy national products if you want. But on top of that, it's a fluke right now. I'm not going to count on it, but now I've got the added, you know, the exchange rate was running 3,800 for a long time, and now it's up to like over 4,400. So you got the most minor of inflation, and with the exchange rate, it more than offsets it. So the net gain is actually a little bit more money in my pocket. Can you imagine if I were in the US? When I was living in Ecuador, because Ecuador is not as cheap as a lot of people think. That when people get there at first, they say it's so cheap because they're used to like crazy high prices. But after you're there a while, you realize it's not all that cheap. And when I was there and I was doing videos, one of the things that I would tell people is you don't have to move to another country if your only purpose is to retire and have it be affordable, because there's places throughout the United States. I mean, it's not going to be in New York City or San Francisco, but there's rural areas around the United States that are really cheap. There's always top 10 lists of like the most inexpensive, good places to live. And if you are on your typical retirement, you could afford to live in those places. It was good advice at the time, 5 years, 6 years ago. Can you imagine now if you're still on that same retirement and you're in the United States with everything sky high? And there it's not, inflation, it's pennies. There it's inflation that's hundreds. It's crazy. Gasoline's like up over 100%. It's doubled. It's crazy. And most people need a car, need gasoline in the US. So how fortunate am I to have ended up here in Colombia in this circumstance where I'm totally unaffected. I mean, honestly, I'm completely unaffected by what's going on. Yeah, I'm not rich because, I lost my, all right, yeah, I'm doing it. Go ahead and yell at me, air quotes, my fortune, everything that I had saved and saw, I'm stuck with my Social Security and it's not the best. But here in Colombia, particularly here in Armenia, it's a damn good life. I'm not sweating it. The only thing I sweat is, this stuff. What's next? What's going to come along next? But you guys, it seems like whenever something happens, you're always there for me. Keeps going. We're going on 7 years, and we're still functioning because of you guys. But for my personal life, with my personal funds, I can afford to go out once in a while. I don't know. Life is just really good here. So I would say it's not luck. I mean, I kind of planned, but still, I feel very fortunate. The WHO just declared monkeypox a global emergency. Well, we knew that was coming, right? Fake news. Yeah. Yeah, they kind of burned up their credibility last time around. Good morning. Rent increase and exchange rate. What's to say about the exchange rate? It's running in our favor. It's not going to stay there forever, but it's going to be there for a while. I don't think it's going to keep climbing to any big extent. It seems to kind of stalled out, but who knows? We don't know. The real key, there's a lot of factors. It's not one thing. But the biggest factor on the Colombian side of it is investments. You had investments pull out more than what would be typical prior to the election. And it's just kind of in limbo right now. I think there's a lot of people with money out there because Colombia's been a good bet. If you wanted to invest in a country, Colombia is one of those countries in the world that's that's been the best investment. I mean, the Colombian economy recovered greater, I believe, that better than any country. But they may not be right on that, but it's in the very top tier. So those investors are kind of, what's going to happen? They're already talking about a tax proposal that could hurt the oil industry, even though they're not going to, they've already said they're not going to shut it down because we need it. But like all left governments, they want to increase taxes. And they also propose to go after what they call tax evaders, which amounts to anybody earning over 21 something, almost $2,200 a month. That if you haven't been filing taxes or paying on taxes, they're going to go after you. If you're below that, they say, you don't have to worry. Well, below that, you don't really have tax issues. But what they're saying is some of those provisions that I talk about that kick in so that you don't owe tax, even if the chart says you do, they're talking about removing those provisions mostly for companies, but they're going to want to look at it for individuals also. Left governments believe in the government doing more, and that requires tax money. And so they're looking, because this is not a tax type of country, so there's not enough there for them to do some of the things that they imagined. And so, that's a bit of a concern, although it's not really going to hit me very much. Jerry, thank you. It almost got by me. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I live in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Yeah, we know where Albuquerque is. Come on. And it's not too bad relative to other regional cities like Denver, Phoenix. But Manizales is 30% of the cost compared to Albuquerque. Yeah, New Mexico has one or two places that's on those lists about some of the best costs in the United States. There's some places like in Montana. So yeah, you can say, well, one's too hot, one's too cold. Yeah, well, sometimes there's reasons for it, but there's other places like Arkansas. I think there was a place there it gets warm, but it's actually kind of a beautiful area. But it's not it's not all that populated. Even upstate New York, where I used to live, it's amazingly cheap there. My half brother is still there. He's the one driving truck, and prices really haven't changed much up there. You also wanted to talk about rent increase. I'm not seeing it yet. There are increases every year traditionally, and by law, it can't be more than 10%. So I don't know. I don't know if there's a lot of that going on. I'm not seeing it yet. Craig, exactly right. Some low-income people are okay if they own their housing, note paid, cheaper mortgage. Yeah, there's a lot to be said. There's a lot to be said about that. But housing costs have spiked pretty much. It's going crazy right now. Right now is the time to sell. But you got to have an alternative to live in, so you can. But the opportunity is there if you plan it right. Yes, I still got that gravel in my throat. It was a lot better this week. Didn't notice it all week, actually, until I just started talking. I think maybe it's because I run a fan where I sleep. I've got a fan pointed right at me. I love the fresh air. And I think, based on the fact that I have to clean that fan out with a fair amount of dust every so often. You know, maybe it's just kind of blowing dust, and some of I used to have allergies. Living down here, I haven't experienced them. But back in the US, I had allergies to certain kinds of dust. I was an old book collector for years, and I had to stop because I don't know, mold or dust that comes in old books, it was killing. I'd open one up, and within a minute I'd be dropped to my knees, you know, crying tears, my throat swelling up. I had really bad allergy to that. And there was a time when mowing the lawn was a problem. And I used to love to mow the lawn. It was my chill time. But down here I haven't had any issue at all. And I'm thinking, well, maybe that's it. Maybe that dust is blowing on me while I'm sleeping, and you know, I'm kicking up traces of the old allergy. I don't know. Okay. Let's see, what else? Do I have anything else here? I think I reminded you about the insurance. That was the big one I wanted to make sure you knew, being the last day. And I know there's some of you that are planning on coming down in the next month or two. And again, I'll tell you, if you're coming down and you want to hire me, please, please, please make sure I know well before. There's a couple times in the last few months it's been an issue. It's like I didn't know, and now I can't do it because I had other plans, and I just, you know, I can't help you out. And well, I didn't know I'd have to. Well, you know, it should be common sense. It's like 2 or 3 days. It's not that many days where I'm just not doing anything. But if I know ahead of time, I can move things around, and you know, I can make it work. All right, we got anything else, or are we done for the day? Got a lot of people on, so let's make it official. It's Q&A time. Questions. Remember, 4 question marks first, then ask the question. Okay, the throttling back. I was talking to a friend. I was chatting, texting a friend, talking about the issue that I've had the last few weeks. And he goes, yeah, a lot of people are complaining about it. I said, well, how do you know? Is there anything in particular? And he was telling me on Twitter, there's a channel for creators, and it's hosted by YouTube. And I got rid of my Twitter a long time ago. I got rid of most stuff. So he says, you really should go there, because if you say something, there's a good chance that somebody in YouTube will respond to it. All right. So I went back, and I was able to reinstate my old account. It's been shut down for a couple of years, where apparently they don't delete them. You know, they want to keep them in there to show Elon that they got lots of people on board. What are we doing? Hold on. All right, we're still good. So I managed to open it up, and I went to the place that he said, and I scrolled through, and I saw quite a few people complaining about it, and a whole bunch of other things. And so I posted a comment up. It's like, it happened to me the last couple of times, and and didn't think I'd hear anything. And it was Wednesday, maybe Thursday. Well, anyway, it was a few days later. I got a message back saying that they looked into it, and they would not tell me. They're always vague anyway, but they would not tell me, but they said that I shouldn't experience it again. I have no idea what that means, but I'm, you know, so far so good. So I have no idea. Maybe I missed this, but any updates on a workable, reliable, affordable solution? for the 2FA codes. That's the bank codes. I'm kind of guilty of this because there are solutions, and the solution is to buy a SIM card before you come down here. It can be any number of companies, even some of the main companies. There's one big one in the U.S. Who are they? Not Verizon, not AT&T. I guess the other big one that you can put that SIM in your phone and use it to do your transaction, and then you can pull it out and put your Colombian in, or have a phone that does dual SIM. Most phones down here have dual SIM, but you have to pay. So if you use it on that day, you have to pay something like $10 for the day. But as rarely as it comes up, maybe a couple times a year. So you're talking, $20. That's a way to do it. There's another one that I don't have it in front of me right now, but I've talked about it a couple times, that you can buy the SIM card real cheap and you don't have to pay that $10 thing, but it is a couple dollars a month. So I think it's, kind of a wash. T-Mobile, thank you. It's T-Mobile. Because T-Mobile does work down here. I wouldn't have it long term, but it does work down here. And they have a provision where if you're down here, you call the United States, it's just $10 for the entire day. Are you familiar with the OREB building? I'm very familiar with it. I've talked about it a bunch of times. I've done at least one video about it. Love it. One of my favorite buildings in Armenia. Like all the buildings, you've got 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom, and the 3 bedroom, you've got some variation in floor plan and some a little bit bigger than others. But their big 3 bedroom, I just think is spectacular. Yeah, I love that place. But I've tried to move into it twice, but both times that I was available to move, there was nothing available for me to move into. Another place that I would love to, but there's never anything. It's between here and there. If you're coming from Horeb to here, it's on the right side, and it's just before you get to the Condillo police compound. You've got a really nice building. They got a private park. There's a lot of good restaurants. There's a bakery, Bianco, on one end. It's really nice, beautiful building. Never anything available. The people who bought them live in them. Agreed to before, I'm already abroad. Yeah, I think you can do it. You can have somebody send it to you, but it can be problematic initializing it on your phone when you're here. So it really is best to do it before you come here. Good morning. Good morning, Bella. Bela. AT&T now includes free usage in Latin America as part of your plan. Nice. Nice. Well, there's a way to go. So take a look at AT&T, at the plans that they've got, and see what's going on. I'll take a look at that. I can always send my phone to a friend and have him, set it up and send it back to me. Cheaper than flying back and forth. Plus, I have this weird thing. I don't want to leave Colombia. I think I have this, when I think about leaving Colombia, I have this foreboding notion that some kind of disaster is going to happen. I'm not going to be able to get back in or something. As silly as that sounds, you know, I don't exactly know where it came from. I think it was the terror that I went through for the few weeks when I was here on no documents. I was an undocumented person and living in sheer terror while I was getting that straightened out. But I just don't want to leave Colombia and take any chance, because I've been here 4 years now this time around, and it's been great. And I can't say that about most places for me. So I'm late. Good morning. What's the topic of the day? You're the topic, Don. We got no topic for the day. We're just kind of winging it. I don't really understand the 1 to 3 year temporary M visa for property buyers. Does it renew easily? I can't see buying a property and having to leave after a few years. I don't know. You know, I'm doing retirement. I know a couple people that did do the property thing. And when it gets to that point, I'll find out. You know, right now they're on their, both of them are on their initial stint. You know, Colombia, contrary to what you'll see on Facebook or people out of Medellin, Colombia doesn't really put obstacles up for visas. They're not making it harder. You know, I keep seeing this from clowns on Medellin. You know, they talk about, well, this YouTuber, they sent him out of the country. Yeah, because the guy didn't do what he was supposed to do. The thing is, they have very clear rules, and if you follow those rules, you don't have a problem. If you ignore those rules, they're going to put you out, because they have border security. They don't mess around with it. So just do what you're supposed to do, and what you're supposed to do isn't that complicated. So the couple guys that went out, you know, they might have great YouTube channels. They might be great guys. I'm not speaking to that, but they're kind of idiots when it came to the visa. I don't know what they were thinking. They just let everything expire. They didn't do what they were supposed to do. And next thing you know, they're put out of the country. And I don't know if they're complaining about it, because I don't really watch the channels. I've seen a little bit, but I don't really watch it. But you have people on Facebook complaining for them and accusing the Colombian government of causing that to happen. Well, I looked into it enough to find out, no. As a matter of fact, one of them, he did a video on it while he was, I think, in Panama. And I watched that video to see what he had to say. And he wasn't really slamming Colombia. He was saying, yeah, it's my sorry ass that, you know, it's like I took too long. I thought it would be okay. I thought I could do some kind of extension. Like I say, there's no mystery to it. It's very clear. So if you buy a property and you're not getting yourself in trouble and getting arrested and causing any kind of problems, and if you didn't lie initially where it's going to come back to bite you, you're going to get renewed. I've been through renewals, and it's not, you just, you know, you have the right paperwork done, you're good to go. It's kind of an automatic. I know how you feel living in Armenia. This place is paradise. Yeah, you've been here for a while now, and I know you had to go back to the U.S. for a while, and you've been back for a few months, I think. It's pretty special place. I wish that I knew how much it had changed for the good before I ever even went to Ecuador. I enjoyed living in Ecuador. I had a good life, but Ecuador kind of sucks in a lot of ways. And it's doable. I mean, you can go there and you can live, and I did, and I enjoyed my life, and I enjoyed traveling around and all of that. But there's a lot of things about it that just kind of wear on you. Like the medical system is a joke. You know, you go into the hospital and you come out sicker. You know, there's just so many issues with Ecuador. And if I had known, I probably would have come straight to Colombia. I don't regret living in Ecuador for 3 years. It was very eye-opening. And maybe it caused me to appreciate all the more living here in Colombia. I went to Ecuador thinking it was similar to Colombia and found out it's nothing like Colombia. Might as well be from a different planet. And it's Colombia. It's just, it suits me. Maybe not everybody. And I know there's a lot of people living very happily in Ecuador, and that's fine. You know, good for them. I think everybody should be living where they're happy. But for me, it's night and day. Yeah, it is kind of a paradise for me. I have that same notion about leaving the U.S. and moving to Colombia. Really? I'm worried I'll not be able to get back in the U.S. if they make a mandatory jab. Well, there's that. But if you're in the U.S., if they make it mandatory, you're gonna have to do it there too. So, you know, what are you gonna do? You know, I lived for years in the United States. I love the United States. Not all of it, but there's places in the U.S. I live very well. And if Colombia didn't exist, I'd probably be living there very happy. But Colombia does exist. And given the choice, being retired and living here and being able to do all the things that are possible for me to do for little to no money, that's pretty tough in the U.S. You know, I can live a very full and complete life here. And there, you know, even before the inflation, I'd probably be scrimping, you know, a fair amount. We got Libby, how you doing? Good morning from Cuenca. You're back in Cuenca. You'll never learn. She goes there, she complains about it. She posts up beautiful pictures, but she doesn't leave it. Hi, Lauren. Well, it's actually Loren. I'm male. Hello from Miami. Get a Colombian citizenship. This way you have double citizenship. I don't care about that. I mean, it doesn't really have any attraction to me. Next year? I think next year I can get my my permanent residency, and then I don't have to do visas anymore. I think I'd be perfectly happy with that. I just don't see any reason beyond that. You know, it's like, why do I need 2 passports? Why do I need double citizenship? I don't see an advantage to me for that. For some, yeah. And if I were doing a lot of world traveling, probably I could see some advantages. If I like to go to countries that are on lists for the United States that you can't go to, or it's difficult, but with a Colombian visa you can go to and it's easy, and you know, maybe that, but it doesn't fit me. And it just means, you know, just more money and bureaucracy without a payoff for me. Check Armenia airport name, and now tell me if the name is not perfect. Eden? Good point. Or AXM. Libby, yes, you're right. But I'm still thinking about Armenia. You've been thinking about Armenia for 4 years. You've been to Armenia and you loved it. But I think one of the things was moving things here is really problematic. It's very expensive. Sell them all and come here and buy new. It's a hell of a lot cheaper here to buy anyway. Excuse me. So if you sell there at half price, that'll give you enough to buy here at full price. People in Ecuador try to come to Colombia to buy things to take back. Problem is, in most cases, they get caught at the border and the things are confiscated. But they try all the time because it's just so much cheaper here. You always make me feel positive about living here in Colombia. It's better than living in the UK, that's for sure. Now, Robert, you live here in Colombia, and where are you living? How good is my Spanish? My Spanish sucks, but I can get by. I was really happy a couple weeks ago when I went to Pueblo Tapao with a couple of the gringo buddies, and I had them go ahead so I could stay and talk to this woman who was running the hotel. And we had a pretty lengthy, more than 5, probably maybe up to 10-minute conversation. She spoke 0 English, and it was a pretty good conversation. However, I realized that it's really primitive. I mean, I leave out all the little connecting words, and it's mostly the main words that are so it's very fractured. It's pidgin Spanish, but and every once in a while I accidentally throw in an English word that I didn't mean to. I have sympathy now for people in the U.S. that are Spanish speaking, and you hear every once in a while they're talking and they're using English, and then there's Spanish that gets thrown in there. It's like it's not even it just happens. Oh yeah, Kali. Kali. Didn't mean to spit on you. Yeah, my favorite. I don't know. I mean, God bless you if you like Kali. Wherever, it's not for me. But then again, white T-shirts are not for me. It's a matter of taste. It's what you like. Kali, it's too hot. It's too humid. It's riddled with crime. One of the things that really drives me crazy in Cali is people put their garbage out in the street days before it's going to be picked up, and dogs rip it apart. Yeah, they have a fair amount of loose dogs there, which we don't have here. And you'll see these beautiful, they would be beautiful 4-lane with a median, tree-lined roads in the city, strewn everywhere with garbage. It's disgusting. It's like, and it's time and again and again and again. You go back and it's like that. It's like, how can this be? Here in Armenia, you have, if somebody's walking along and there's trash there, somebody's going to stop and clean it up. They're not going to let it happen. You have people that go out in waves that volunteer with their own time and money to paint up, road curbs or scrub sidewalks or, things like that. And I don't know. In Cali, it's just, it's a big city. And I think a big city, people tend to care less. And they think the next guy is going to take care of things. And here in Armenia, it's just not like that. Just need enough to survive on a daily basis. Order food, groceries, directions. Enough of what? That's what happens when I get off track. Enough money to survive on one of the best cost of livings is right here in Colombia, and one of the best places in Colombia is right here in Armenia. Although it's close to Manizales, Pereira, some things in Pereira are actually better priced than Armenia. But in general, things like rents and things like that are less here. Yeah, it's just a good Ibagué. If you like it hot, and some like it hot, Ibagué is a cheap place to live. When I visited my wife from Cali, we used to run up to Colima Lake. It's nice up there. Yeah, I've said this before. Every place has its really nice areas. Even Pereira has. There's times when I wish I lived closer, just because they have a better selection in restaurants. I mean, Armenia is small. It's half the size. We're not even quite 300,000 people in Armenia. We're tiny. Paeta, somewhere between 5 and 600,000. Manizales is the same. So they're, those places are double the size. They have more to offer. They've got a Price Mart. On the other hand, I can go to Price Mart. It's not that far. It's not like it's not doable. So and Paeta now has this cable car that took forever, but they've got this cable car that runs across the city. But the traffic in Paeta has gotten so freaking bad. It's kind of like Medellin. It's terrible. You can just sit in traffic forever. It's gotten to the point where I despise driving into the city of Paeta because the traffic has gotten so freaking bad. If I go there, I try to go as early as possible in the morning. But what are you gonna do? Oh, Spanish. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I just need enough of it to survive on a daily basis, order food, groceries, directions. Yeah, I got that down, and I've actually I practice when I can. So I've gotten some conversation down. It's easier for me to talk, and it's still, depending on who I'm talking to, it can be very difficult for me to understand people. A lot of people here, they just want to talk too fast. And my brain is still at the point where it's doing a certain amount of translating. And so I'll be at this word and it's like, well, what is that word? And by the time I figure it out, that, they're on their 2 sentences away and I missed this. So it's like, oh shit, what are you saying? Wait, stop, hold on. Some people just talk fast. And I have this funny thing, unless it's somebody I know, but people I don't know, and they'll just talk normal for them. They'll just, talk too fast for me and ask them to slow down. And then they'll start talking really loud. It's, no, I didn't need you to be louder. I needed you to slow down. I'm not deaf. I'm just stupid. So I run into that. Now, some people speak clearly and slowly. They understand, they sympathize maybe. And when they do that, then it works out. That lady at the hotel, she was doing that, and it was very useful. But I can sit and talk. Most of the ideas that I have, I can express. But coming back, it depends a lot on how it's coming back to me. And so that's something, I'll have to get a handle on. And how things are pronounced, like, I say Espanol, but you'll hear a lot of people say Espanol. What? Espanol? What Espanol? What is that? Espanol? So there's that too, and it takes a lot of figuring out for me. What do we got? What is it? Is that the name of the cable car? I'm not even sure what that is. Agree, knowing Spanish before you come is not necessary. You'll pick up what you need over time. Until then, there's Google Translate. I completely agree. The people are all the time saying, no, you have to know your Spanish. I really don't agree. Yeah, would it be easier? Of course it would be easier. It'd be easy if tomorrow I could speak fluent Spanish. But that's not going to happen. And so what am I going to do? I'm going to put my life on hold while I wait for that to happen. It's something that for most people that are dense like me, most people, it takes years to get there. And you could take the classes and all that. It still takes a long time to reprogram your brain, because that's really what's happening. And so I'm not going to hold my life up, but I've never worried about that. That's maybe traveling at so much when I was younger that you just don't worry about. You can pantomime. You can somehow get across what you need. But a plus is that people here tend to be pretty polite, especially in Armenia. Very polite, very helpful. most people are not bothered, but occasionally you run into somebody who, before you even have a chance to try to communicate with them, they instantly hear your accent or whatever, and they close their ears and run to go get somebody else. Like if you're in a store, it's like, wait a minute, we could do this. You know, it's like, hold on, we could do this. We can get this done. But they're out of here because they don't even want to try. They just shut down. So you do run into that sometimes. But most people are really helpful. I run into a lot of people that act like teachers. They'll correct my pronunciation, or they'll correct the word. I could have said it this way. And I like that. I actually appreciate that. No, the cable car, mega cable. Near Pinares. Oh, okay. I don't recall that. I've been there. I know where you're talking about. Actually, the only place I like in Colombia is Armenia. It's not the only place I like, but most places I don't care for that much, actually. Thank you. Between you and my research of Armenia, I actually can tell the taxi driver how to go from point to point. Thank you again. You're welcome. Have you heard of the veterans home in the town of Chianuta? Never heard of the town of Chianuta. Ever visit them? Nice place. No. There's a veterans home near Manizales. I can't remember the name of the town. It's actually a small city. And I've contemplated going there. But the reason, and they have a veterans getaway, I guess. You can come and stay as little or as long as you want, and you can work it a little bit with them. And I've heard some nice things. I've heard some weird things. And so in case of some of those weird things I heard were true, I just have avoided it. But just the other day, what the heck is the name of that place? Some of you know. On the way to Manizales from Pereira, just before you get to Manizales, it's on the right side, and it starts with Chin, Chin. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, that's the place. I got the town wrong. Okay, what's Chinchina? Is that it? Maybe it's something like that. If that may be it, or it's something like that. I'm just drawing a blank. I actually know a fair amount, but I don't know how much is true or not true. And I just haven't been so inclined to go there. Whenever I love going to Manizales, you know, so if I get a chance, then I spend my time there. Do you notice that is more women than men in Armenia? Well, I didn't count, but I know that that's true in much of Colombia for various reasons. For 40 years of the Civil War, for a lot of people going out of the country to, you know, make their fame and fortune. A lot of people go to university out of Colombia. You know, they'll go and get their master's degree in another country. Spain's a popular place. So those all tends to be men that are leaving the country. It's not exclusive, but it tends to be. So you add all this up, and you have a greater population of women than men. I don't know. It's a pueblo with a huge coffee cup in the plaza. Okay, it looks pretty good size on the map, but like I say, I haven't actually been there. It's not like you can drive on the main road and really see it. You can really only see the entrance to it. And I've never you actually have to turn off and go into the town. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I have this next week, I might be able to go there. Just you bring it up. It's something I kind of put to rest a while ago, but maybe I can go there this week. I will look into that. Could be interesting. Maybe I'll look it up rather than, wondering what the place is all about. Maybe I'll track down the thing and find out what's real about it. It never really, I didn't really care, because a lot of what goes on is, for me, is I'm living my life the way I want to live it. And if something doesn't pique my interest, then, like, you'll never see a video in the Amazon from me, because I could care less about it. I don't need hot, muggy, and mosquitoes. There's no attraction to me. So, people could ask, can you go to the Amazon? Nah, it's not going to happen. So there's that. I enjoy and considered Salento as a part-time retirement home. Most of the gringos that live in this area actually live around Salento area, more there than in Armenia. The ones that have a fair amount of money, if you got $2,000 or more, you can afford to live a life there. You can afford to get yourself a nice car and maybe buy some property and that kind of thing. If you're retired on my kind of money, which is almost $1,400 a month, you can live a good life in town. So the town name between Pareda and Manizales of Santa. No. That's where the hot springs are. It's not between. It's almost into Manizales, and I think Chinchina is probably it. Yeah, the hot springs, that's a great place people should visit. All right, we've run an hour on no topic. Last call for any questions or anything you might want to discuss. And other than that, I'm going to bail. Today, I want to thank Juka. As always, George, thank you very much. Jerry, thank you. I appreciate it. Would you mind trekking to the highest peak of the Andes there so you can tell me what it's like? Yeah, I would mind. I'm not going to do that. I know what it's like to be up on a mountaintop here. That would include snow, ice, too much effort. No, I'll pass on that. Even drones have trouble flying up there. Plus, I did find out that I got problems with altitude. So, do you see yourself in Armenia for the foreseeable future? If I'm alive in the foreseeable future, absolutely. I have no intention of leaving Armenia. If I were to leave Armenia for whatever reason, which I can't imagine, it probably would be to Manizales. I'll say this again. I do think that if you know where to go and how to set up your life, I think Manizales is a superior place in many ways for most people. Armenia is something particular for me, and if you fit the way I am and my personality or something, then Armenia might be a better choice for you. But as far as the city itself goes, man, I wish Armenia was in Manizales and vice versa. I wish we had that city with everything else that I love about here, because it's an amazing city. But when I talk about Manizales as a city, I think this is important. When I think of living in Manizales, it's the way I was living there before. At the very top, first of all, Manizales is on, I think, 7 different mountain peaks. And it's very steep. And you've got houses all up the side of the mountains. And you got a cable car, teleferica, that runs from the top all the way down to the bus station. Plus, you got taxis that will take the winding road. They're really steep. San Francisco would be jealous if they saw how steep some of these are. I lived on 23. which is the road that runs on the topmost peak of the main part of Manizales. And it's kind of like elongated peaks. And 23 runs from one end to the other. And I lived about midpoint of there. Now, this whole thing, I don't know, I would say it's maybe 3 miles or more long. And it's, if you're up there, it's pretty flat. So you can walk, you can go and walk 6, 7 miles or so and not have to climb these hills. Plus, there's 7 malls and shopping areas, and their restaurants are really, they have really killer restaurants. In this one area at the eastern end of town, it's kind of circular. It hooks up to 23. It's pre-COVID, there was about 200 international style restaurants in there, and it's a beautiful area. I know some are gone, some new ones have taken their place. I haven't been there recently. It's just, everything is more modern. You have less of the little tiendas and more larger places. There's better meat markets and fishmongers, and it's just a superior place in many ways. Gorgeous parks. We have a lot of those things here, but not to the extent of what's there. And I've had people say, well, I went to Manizales. I don't know what you liked about it. It was too hard to walk. It was this and that. The thing is, you know, if we had a day there, I could show you, look, imagine if you lived here in this area and you could walk to all of these things, all these coffee shops and all these interesting things to see. And you never had to climb a hill to do it. That's Manizales to me. That entire strip at the top, you know, from the park on one end to the circle of restaurants, it's just awesome. It's pretty spectacular. You get down off of that, which is the bulk of Manizales. It's older. It's, you know, there's a couple barrios that are unsavory, to say the least, you know, that you don't want to go to. All of that, you know, people can like that. I don't care for that. You know, I don't need that. I grew up poor. I don't need to see poverty. I don't need to, that's not how I want to live. But speaking of poverty, somebody said, well, if you don't think Colombia is that poor, what do you consider poor? Well, first of all, there is that poor in Colombia. So I never said that. I just said that for most people that are actually living in the range of poverty, they can actually live a pretty decent life for all the reasons I listed. But I can tell you that when I was in the Philippines, I had nightmares about poverty. Maybe someday I could tell you, you know, what constituted a nightmare. But I would literally wake up in a sweat, partly because it was so freaking hot there, from these nightmares of, well, I don't want to tell you now, take too long, but the poverty there was beyond oppressive. It was bad. It hurt your soul to see the extent of the poverty. And I didn't have enough money to really address. I would buy bags of rice. I would see things, and it just, it's a very hopeless feeling. And I'm sure for the people living there, it was hopeless. And it's nothing to that extent here. It is just not like that. I swear there's places in the United States where, you know, you've got thousands of people living on the streets and, you know, in the cold, and which you'll have here, but nowhere near to that extent. You know, I told you they can build themselves a little shelter and nobody's going to bother them. And it's just a very different thing. All right, totally off topic, but that's my Manizales. May not be yours, but that's the Manizales that I love. And you know, maybe one of these days you'll be here and you want to go see and we can go check it out. Like Santander. Okay. I think that's it. There's no more questions. I thanked on the contributions. I really appreciate that. If you have any requests of something that you want to see, I used to get them all the time. I've fulfilled many of them. But if you have any requests of anything in particular you want to see, you know, feel free to send it in my email, which is there. There's my email. You don't have to hurry and write it down now. You can always go back and pause the video and catch it. Okay, so there's that. And of course, grandcolumbia.live, you can find everything there. And I see no more questions, so we're going to end it here today. I want to thank you. I appreciate it. And looks like we spend about as much time on no topic day as when we have topics. So I'll see you later. Ciao.
Oh,